If you think about it, it's like a Cupid robe. Hello, I'm Larry and welcome to Sew Blogs. Today I'm shifting over to sewing things that I need to improve my life. I'm aware that this may seem dramatic, but it's a must. I need a new robe. I can't glow up without a robe. Specifically a soft robe, but not soft and plush to the extent that I look like I'm in a Big Bird suit when I put it on. Well, I'm just no longer into the over plushy robe. I have one though. I'm not gonna throw it out. Here's the inspo that I pulled from my 10-minute Pinterest dive. I think it would be called a Turkish robe sort of situation that we're going for, but I don't know. For the materials, I couldn't find the waffle looking soft fabric that I needed, but I did find a blanket that's literally the material that we need. The waffly look. As I like to say, blankets are just lower priced fabric. For the pattern, I'm using the same one I used to make my black ominous felt coat. You can check that video out for pattern details. Actually, I can't remember if there's any pattern details in that. But yeah, I'm going to be using that pattern to make this robe because a coat is a robe, honestly. It's all the same if you think about it. Anyways, let's go cut. This fabric doesn't have stretch. Well, I don't think it does. Well, I mean, it moves. I wouldn't say it stretches. So I just need to cut. We're just gonna go with the side that feels right. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna cut is my back panel. So I want this robe to be long to my ankles. So I think I'm gonna have to make it about maybe 57 inches. I'm a tall girl. White barn candle. I've officially lost track of which side is which. I don't think it matters. So moving on with life. Okay, so after almost an hour of cutting, we have all our pieces out. So now it's time to sew them. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is have some chocolate chips. So the first thing I'm actually gonna do is connect the lining, the front lining. I was only able to cut halfsies, so I have to sew it together, unfortunately. And after we do that, we can go ahead and attach the front and the back by the shoulders. The more I sew, the more I realize that a lot of things are just basic construction work like that. I'm getting really comfortable and I love that for me. So I'm just gonna sew a regular stitch. I would say I'm at a quarter or less than a quarter. I don't know how I can never sew a straight line. There's literally lines on the sewing machine for this. Now that we have these attached, we can go ahead. Well, I can actually sew this down because this is going to be a repeat for what I did with my cardigan and the raw edges for the front. I'll just sew these two sides, wrong sides together, and then attach it to the rest of the body. I'll do that after I connect the shoulders though. So now that the front and back are attached, it is time to add the sleeves. This is going faster than I expected. Why is it moving? So now that we're done with the sleeves, we are going to be working on the little details. That includes the neck strip. So now that we are finished with the main body of our robe, I'm going to be sewing the waistband, not waistband, the waist tie. I'm going to be sewing the waist tie, but I'm also going to be sewing these little rectangular cutouts, and these are going to be belt loops. The only thing I'm going to do is roll them up like a burrito, just like this, and then I'm just going to sew it down on both sides. And this fabric does not fray, so I'm having a good time. The sun's coming back out, which is good. So now that we have the collar all sewed up, we're now going to attach it. This is actually going to take a while to pin together. So we have our collar pinned on. So now we're going to sew. I am not forgetting my label this time. I need to do better because I literally have like 200 of these and I've used like 3 of them. Now it's time to top stitch the collar down, but I think I'm going to switch over to a white thread because the pink thread I have is the lightest and it's really showing. I did try to do a test loop when we first started for the fabric match, and as you can see, hopefully you can see it, the pink is looking like hot pink against this soft baby pink. So I think I might as well just do a white thread and call it a day. So yeah, we gotta switch that out. But it's okay. I'm just hoping I haven't ran out of thread and I'm just sewing nothing. Okay, so after that long drawn out collar situation, we are now going to sew the belt. I'm kind of cheating because this is actually the edge of the blanket and it's already done, so why not use it to my advantage, right? So I'm just going to take the finished edge with the raw edge, and this is literally leftover strips. I'm going to just go ahead and fold the undone part over, and then we're going to top stitch right here in the middle, and then the belt will be done. So okay, so our belt is done. Now we can get on to the other things. Before we hem the bottom and the sleeves, we're going to do the pockets because I actually forgot about those. I ended up just cutting out squares because it's important to know when you've lost, and those hard pockets were not going to happen. So we're just going to do an easy pocket situation. Yeah, let's stitch these. I've never seen a fabric be stretchy and not stretchy at the same time. So hopefully this pocket is not as bad as my normal pockets because I do some really bad pockets sometimes. So for the pockets, it's kind of crooked up here, but still, we're just going to fold it over maybe about an inch. And then we are going to flip it and pin it. So right at the edge is where we're going to stitch, and it should look cute when we're done. We're done sewing. We flip it over, and normally you press this down, but we're going to stitch it anyway. But this is how the seam now looks. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to take some more of this strip we have that's already pre-stitched. I'm going to cut about 2 inches and use that as a belt loop. You can also just measure the thickness of your belt. We have our belt loops and our pockets done, so now it is time to do the hems. But before we do that, I was thinking to add a little bit of flair to the belt. My usual problem with when I wash my robes is that the belt just wanders off. And I mean that in the worst way possible. It wanders off and I find it like a week later in another load. So I'm going to be making my belt difficult to remove. Cut out these hearts. They probably won't be hearts by the time I'm done sewing them, but I'm going to be essentially putting these at the end of the belt and it will stop it from coming out of the hoop. Hopefully it looks cute. If it doesn't, I don't know. I'm going to sew them up in 2s. So this is what it's looking like. I told you it was not going to look like a heart by the time I'm done, but it looks like an arrow, and that's also cute. If you think about it, it's like a Cupid robe. Okay, so we are officially done with our robe. Because this is not a complex project, I would put it on my top 10 beginner-friendly sewing projects that are not the regular sewing projects. I started this around 8 a.m. So it's 2 right now. So you do the math. But yeah, I'm really excited. She's cute. It's definitely giving Princess Bubblegum, and I love that for me. So let's go to the montage.